Welcome and thank you for joining us today for Software-Defined Storage Radar Report, Deploying Enterprise-Wide. My name is Raleigh Gould and I'll be your moderator for today's event. Our featured speaker is Jim Miller, Senior Analyst at Enterprise Management Associates. Jim has 22 years of industry experience in IT storage, product management, business management, and marketing. Prior to joining EMA, Jim was the product manager of software and hardware for the storage server at SGI. And before I hand things over to Jim, I did want today's audience to know that you can log your questions at any time throughout the course of the presentation by using the Q&A functionality located in the right-hand column of your screen. Jim will dedicate the last 5 or 10 minutes of his presentation to answering your questions. Also, today's event is being recorded, and you will receive a follow-up email from Enterprise Management Associates tomorrow that will include the on-demand playback, a link to the radar report, and some additional resources. So I encourage you to check that out. And now I'd like to go ahead and turn things over to our featured speaker, Jim Miller. Jim?
Thanks very much, Raleigh, and good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you may be located. I am the storage practice owner here at EMA and responsible for all things storage, of which software-defined storage is one of them. So I'm looking forward to chatting with you today, somewhat briefly, about the report that was created. I'd like to go a little bit through the agenda on what we'll be covering today. First is the definition of the software-defined storage approach. I think key to this particular research project is a somewhat clear definition of what we mean by software-defined storage. And if you follow this industry at all, you realize that there is a great degree of diversity in what that term means, especially across a number of different vendors. So I've taken a very specific approach to that, and I will be covering that in the next slide or two. Also talk some about the evaluation model, which is really a combination of quantitative and qualitative information that's collected from a number of folks, and I'll talk about what those are and how that kind of fits into the scoring. And then also I'll cover the vendors that have been utilized in this particular report, and we'll speak to some more about them later on in the presentation on the findings for each of those. We'll go through a software-defined storage results chart, and basically what this chart is it's a quantitative measure, really taking a look at one vendor versus another, both in cost efficiency and overall product capabilities. And those are each broken down in some additional axes, which I'll talk about again later. And I think one of the key things to the EMA approach is the use of both not only the product, but the value itself. And then I'll also talk some about strength of the vendor, which is actually a fifth attribute that we take a look at as well. And then finally, I'll take a look at value leaders. These were people that scored the highest in both solution impact and also areas of cost efficiency, and then some special recognitions. There's certainly some vendors perform better than all else in a particular area, and we usually do like to make note of that and point those out. So with that, I will go to the next slide here, and the all-important software-defined storage definition. And you'll notice I use the term enterprise, and I'll speak to that in a second. But if you take a look at the chart over to the right, you'll see a stack going in functionality as we go vertically through the stack. And at the very bottom are different storage types that can exist often exist in the enterprise. SAN storage, NAS storage. Certainly there's been a larger preponderance of direct attach storage, especially even in converged and hyper-converged environments. So a little bit back to the future because, it seemed like the storage world started with direct attach storage and migrated to SAN and NAS, especially as the server virtualization market took off. But now there's a preponderance to get back to that direct attach storage, primarily from both a cost saving standpoint and now some of the flexibility that's there in software, both in those vendors that provide those products and certainly with the software-defined storage to provide some amount of shareability. And then, of course, cloud storage is becoming big. A lot of enterprises today are typically using cloud storage for archive and data protection. I think for more production-type data, they're using, and I should say for public cloud, and then more with private clouds internal for that type of processing. So you have all these different storage types that exist out there, and what software-defined storage does is really it takes all these physical storage infrastructure, and what it does is it abstracts all of that into a logical pool or pools of storage. And the advantage of that is that the storage that perhaps was siloed or isolated and unable to communicate with each other can now be utilized and have different applications provisioned across the different storage types, which really increases their usability. That, to a large degree, has been around for some amount of time, known as virtualized storage. But one of the things that really differentiates software-defined storage from just strictly storage virtualization is the abstraction of services. And what I mean by services are things like deduplication, data protection with replication, thin provisioning, these kinds of tools that are, or I should say services that today, or I should say historically, have been proprietary to each one of these different types of storage solutions. And certainly there was even different management platforms across different products within the same vendor. So it made that very, very difficult to learn and get a knowledge set about how all those services worked. And then there was, again, no ability to really be able to share or utilize the same services across the different storage types. So the ability, with the software-defined storage to abstract the capacity and also now the services and deliver those services at a higher level software versus at the storage hardware, provides a consistency of those services, which really lowers the overall administrative impact. So when I say or use the term enterprise software-defined storage, there are solutions that are out there that take a particular software, or I should say hardware or solution, and actually provide those capabilities underneath that. For instance, there are some vendors that will state that they have different types of storage devices. Maybe one's a NAS and one's a SAN. And what they can do is abstract the storage under their particular offerings that they provide as a vendor. And although there's some value in that, there's significantly more value in being able to abstract across all the storage in the infrastructure. So for this particular study and for the vendors that were chosen, it was really a representation of vendors that can do that across all heterogeneous storage and as many storage types as possible. And what that does is it really brings the advantages of which I'll actually talk about in the next slide, of software-defined storage to a much broader audience of storage within the enterprise. And finally, orchestration and automation. Now, orchestration and automation is really taking tools and concepts such as provisioning and quality of service and those types of things, and automating, the execution of those tasks based on the policies that could be set up in advance. And I'll mention now, and I'll mention again in the future, that this orchestration automation, although there's some of that in all the solutions, it's probably one of the greatest opportunities for future improvement in software-defined storage. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. So what are the benefits that people see through this abstraction of storage and storage of all types across the enterprise? Is first off, and really the bullets 1 and bullet 2, depending on the customers that I talk to, can really flip-flop in order of importance. But number 1 is reducing hardware costs, and there's a number of ways that that's done. First is, and this is very important, it's leveraging existing hardware. A lot of customers, enterprises, are moving more to a converged direct-attached storage environments. However, there is a lot of network-based SAN and NAS storage that exists there. And unless all that storage can be aggregated, into single or multiple pools, the ability of being able to eliminate islands within the enterprise, they have to be managed separately and not as well efficiently provisioned, still remains. So that's number 1. It's one thing to hear about a solution and, geez, you can do all these things. All you got to do is get rid of all your storage and put in all this new storage. It's not feasible for a lot of folks. So even though they may be transitioning off that older storage over time, they need to be able to support that now. Another advantage is increasing utilization. Again, if by being able to orchestrate, or I should say abstract storage across different types and being able to provision and use storage across different types, I've again no longer have to, when I'm in the provisioning for a particular application, is limit that to one storage type, and then for another application to another storage type, and et cetera. And it not being able to get the degree of utilization I might be able to otherwise do. One way to take a look at that is it's less apparent today in the age of the euro, but in the past when you went to Europe and you had Deutschmarks and you had lire and you had this various kinds of money, and which was great. And you went to these countries and I could buy this item with this currency and this item with this currency, but I couldn't use this currency for purchase in another country. Really what this abstraction across all the different storage types allows all your storage to kind of turn into a euro to make that storage currency more usable for all application types. Also, there's the ability to use commodity hardware. There's a lot of historically, a lot of proprietary software intelligence that exists in these SAN and NAS devices, and these types of, these firmwares and services and things could not talk to each other by being able to use commodity hardware and moving all those services and provisioning up to a higher level software level. I now can not pay for a lot of that proprietary intelligence that's in the storage systems of past, and be able to actually use a lower a lower commodity-based storage and reduce overall hardware costs. The thing that the second bullet is how do I benefit from a management standpoint? Simply using a single management console now greatly simplifies things for administrators, and the ability to deploy and execute these services across all the different storage types with a single tool is very, very valuable. And I'll also enable data as a service. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the upcoming slide as opportunities. So the purpose of this report, it's really designed around quantifying how different solutions compare against each other in the medium to large enterprise. And a couple of criteria I had for that is first, had to be an operating solution for 6 months. That made it kind of tough. There's some pretty good solutions that are coming into the market or have come into the market or coming into the market very recently, and that are providing even greater functionality, but want to make sure that speaking to a robust solution with a lot of runtime behind it, for customers. And some of these other vendors will be included in next year's report. Another thing that was very critical was that you could support, or one of these solutions could support multiple vendors and storage types. Again, that gets back to that whole definition of an enterprise software-defined storage. So, for instance, there are some hybrid solutions that do a very good job of abstracting storage under, I'm sorry, not hybrid, but converged systems that provide the ability to abstract all the storage underneath it. But again, it can't actually include storage that's not within their particular solution. So that ends up creating an island. And also want to make sure that these were solutions that could support larger deployments, of 500 terabytes and up, and again, have these solutions working for some period of time. So, what were the key evaluation models? There's 3 areas that we looked at. Resource efficiency, which is both deployment, administration, and cost advantage. And deployment and administration is really ease of advantage. And cost advantage includes not only just cost of the product, but also things that could reduce overall product costs, such as deduplication or the ability to use a low-cost appliance, etc. Solution impact is a combination of architecture and integration, how easy it is to deploy this thing, but a great degree of the weighting in this particular study is functionality, and that's, as I'll get into, is for a large part of an ability to support as many services as possible, storage services, independent of the hardware that lies underneath it. And then the one that might be a little unique for people to understand, we also take a look at vendor strength, because there are great solutions out there, but some folks certainly have a preference if a vendor is established in a particular marketplace in a particular product set versus one that's just getting started. And we also take a look at things like financial strength, distribution, partnerships, and technology partnerships as well. So who are the vendors that are covered? At first glance, you might think that this is not as large of a list as you might thought. It's 8 vendors. And I did, though, take the approach of looking at many more vendors than this. But I did want to, as I mentioned earlier, ensure that these were vendors that are, first off, established, can support large configurations and scale, also have the ability to support multiple heterogeneous vendors and multiple storage types to be able to get that full enterprise coverage. And you'll note a couple of these are, or actually 5 are software-only solutions, and then 4 hardware vendors that have included software-defined storage solutions as well. So what are some of the general findings before I get into the individual accounts? All of these, again, based on kind of the criteria I use for choosing them, we're able to do a couple of things. One, support heterogeneous device. I think that was, as I use in the metaphor, jacks are better to be able to play or support in this particular study. And you all had single management consoles. That's also a very key requirement for an enterprise software-defined storage solution. The fact that I can go to a single place. I don't need different element managers. I don't need different SRMs. I don't need different other management tools. I can learn one and be able to access and do what I need with all the various hardware that is out there. Some variations, first in the amount of functionality, and what I mean by that is the number of services. And when I speak to services, as I mentioned earlier, these are things like replication, deduplication, thin provisioning, all the advanced services, many of which were included in these individual devices and hardware devices. And again, looking for a single high-level ability to be able to support these, which not only provides a consistent set of services across all the hardware products are out there, but again, enables the ability to use commodity storage. You don't have to pay for those services since you're providing them at a higher level. Also, device and file types supported, and what I mean by that is SAN, NAS. Am I supporting object or file? The more device and file types that are supported, the better, and there is some just natural diversity across the various solutions that are there. Cloud support's very important. Again, it's again primarily being used in the enterprise for archive and backup today, but having a seamless way to be able to use that type of storage, I think is very, very critical. And what I will say is, if you look at the promise of in some of the definitions of software-defined storage in the past, they talk a lot about orchestration and automation in things like provisioning, for performance or quality of service. And this is really the area that has a great degree of diversity across all the solutions, and I think it's the area that provides the greatest opportunity going forward. And I'll certainly speak to that at the very end of the presentation as far as what to look forward to going forward. So finally, let's take a look at this radar report. You see a couple of different charts here. I'll focus on the one at the left at first. So this has the various vendors located on there, and you can see they're relatively closely coupled or closely together. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with my pre-selection up front of making sure I only chose vendors that were truly enterprise scale in their ability to adapt to for software-defined storage. And you see there's two axes. The vertical axis is the ability of the storage capability to perform functionality, and the Y. That's the Y-axis. The X-axis is actually cost efficiency. And again, when you say cost efficiency, that's really a lot of things other than pricing, although pricing does play a role in that. It's really the ability of price, how hard is it to deploy this, are there tools such as deduplication that can further reduce the cost of this, etc. And then the chart at the right, because these are all so kind of tightly coupled there in the upper right, gives you a little bit more of a enhanced, detailed view of all the vendors. And you'll see there are 4 which I'll speak to up in the value leader category, and the rest all fell into the strong value, which means in pretty much at least one area, these particular vendors and or products had an area of strength that was worthy of note. So first thing I'll talk to is the value leaders, and first I'll talk about DataCore, which was really at the top overall solution impact score, and how they were able to achieve that was really with the highest list of services that they supported, and also the widest breadth of products. SAN, NAS, the ability to take direct attached storage and network-based storage, and the ability to aggregate pools across both. It really offered a great capability of being able to aggregate all that storage. Also, DataCore, interestingly enough, had a very, very attractive price, compared to the other vendors, which I found interesting given the strength of their offering. DataCore has been partnering with a number of different vendors to package with their hardware to provide an appliance type software-defined solution. One such company is Dell, for instance, but there's many others. Citrix Melio as another highly rated company. They are that was a company that was originally Sanballat Melio, and Citrix bought them, and right off the bat spoke to a strategic and tactical plans to integrate that in with some of their mobile appliances and VDI appliances, which I think is a good idea because it makes those appliances more flexible and easier to deploy, although the thing that I've encouraged them is the product is so strong as a standalone product, very similar to DataCore in capability. I've encouraged them to continue to sell that as a separate product, independent appliances, because I think it have a lot of value, for a lot of customers. A couple other value leaders, Atlantis provides both software-defined storage and hyper-converged solutions, both, and that gives them the ability to look at 2 different target markets, really, on who's buying the product, and they have the overall highest cost efficiency score. And the thing that really lended itself to that was they really have a great inline, super high performance deduplication process. It's inline, completely independent of the operating system, and that allows them to get data reductions of 4 or 5 times overall. And once you start talking about things like VDI, you can get up in the range of a 10x reduction. Nexenta uses a portfolio of different products, and those products are really split into what we would call the control plane and the data plane. The data plane being the product where the data is stored itself, the control plane being the software management of those products and the provisioning and automation. And I think one of the advantages of that kind of approach is it could provide some cost efficiencies. If you don't need all those capabilities, it's kind of a menu option. You can pick and choose what you want and deploy all that. And their control plane products actually tie all of that together. They also have a pretty rich collection of reference architectures from vendors like Cisco, Dell, HP, Supermicro, and others. So although software-defined storage has a lot of flexibility in it and using it in your environment, certainly one of the easiest ways is to put this onto an appliance, drop it in, let that appliance discover everything that's out there, and it makes the overall administration, and deployment much more quickly. A couple of others that are now in strong value, VMware vSAN and virtual volumes. I think probably the biggest advantage of VMware vSAN is if you are a VMware user. This is obviously fully integrated into the vSphere hypervisor. You've now just got there's no additional software. You have a seamless extension of the software that you're already using today to be able to utilize clustering these different direct attached storage devices together and leveraging resources across all of them. But they're missing kind of a big part because, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of SAN NAS storage that's out there, and virtual volumes was something that they brought to market that enabled them to add software-defined storage to SAN and NAS arrays. HP Store Virtual VSA, probably one of its biggest strengths is it really is close to VMware in a deployment and management. They have a very, very strong integration with VMware. And again, the beauty of that is it gives you the ability to really not have to change your processes very much from a storage management standpoint to be able to take advantage of software-defined storage. And lastly, we have a couple other strong value. IBM Spectrum. IBM Spectrum has a lot of functionality. They've taken a very modular approach, even more so than Exenta, with 6 different products. Some of these products were some products that were pre-existing that they continue to want to use going forward, and because there's quite a customer base that enjoys these particular products. From an integration standpoint, there is a common point of management control, which is spectrum control of the 6 products that provides that capability. And again, one of the advantages of having a modular approach is the ability, again, to only have to spend and purchase the capabilities that you need for your environment. Although IBM has certainly made comments that they plan to actually do more integration, with the various products, and even cut down on the number of products there to kind of simplify the overall process. And then EMC Viper, if you've been following this space, that we made a huge splash 2 years ago with Viper Controller and also Viper SRM. It's actually a very cost-effective product. It has a great plug-in to existing cloud stacks and VMware hypervisors. So the ability to extend storage capacity and retrieval into the clouds is very, very strong. They've recently announced a Project Copperhead, which provides an open source capability for Viper Controller, although a commercially available product is still available and can be purchased from EMC that has additional capabilities and, of course, service. And so SRM, Viper SRM, is really that classic SRM capability. It works in concert with Viper Controller to provide all those, the relationship between storage and virtual machines and capacity consumption and trending and the kinds of things that can assist you in managing these heterogeneous environments. And then lastly, Symantec, also a strong value. Symantec has a very rich set of services, and they've made some great headway in the automation of being able to execute provisioning and for both performance and capacity, which certainly limits the burden on storage administrators, and it's integrated with all the VMware, or I should say virtualized products, VMware, vSphere, Hyper-V, and KVM. KVM is certainly not something that's supported by all the members, by all the vendors, and does support public, private, and hybrid clouds. So a couple of special recognitions. Atlantis, really for most efficient SDS solution, and that's primarily based on their excellent deduplication capability. It's a great way to reduce storage costs and also network requirements as you move data off-site to another geographical dispersed environment. DataCore, best enterprise with wide SDS, and that's really based on the strength of the vast number of device types, product types, and services they provide. Truly, across the whole enterprise, there doesn't need to be any remaining islands of storage that have to be managed outside of that. Citrix has a great VDI appliance integration, so you go ahead and drop that appliance in. Citrix obviously is a leader in the VDI space, so there's a limited amount of any kind of software or a user interface that you have to use outside of the normal Citrix VDI management. And then VMware, I think it goes without saying, if you have a VMware environment, which a lot of folks do, the ability to deploy those, the vSANs and the vVols is completely seamless. It's an extension of the existing VMware management software. It doesn't require anything new. So from a summary standpoint, what I like to say is that, software-defined storage for the enterprise, again, does provide, quite a bit of opportunity to reduce hardware administration costs. One of the things that you do want to take a look at is the range and types of storage that are supported. For instance, some vendors will support SAN, but not NAS. And in the full report, there's additional details on the capabilities of the various vendors. And, the ability to utilize all that existing infrastructure. There are some value propositions out there today that promise some great things. If you do a rip and replace with your existing hardware, that's just not economically feasible for a number of customers. So certainly something to look for as you make your selection. And then I'd say, in automation and orchestration is really the biggest opportunity going forward. There's some amount of that, but for instance, if you take a look at QoS, there are a couple of vendors out there that provide some great QoS capabilities, and what I mean by that is the ability to define both requirements for a particular application and then even ceilings for different applications. So if an application is not performing as required, pull on different additional resources such as flash, for instance, or higher performance disk to get that performance up. And although that's great within a single subsystem, It's only within that subsystem, and to really get the most advantage of that, you need an enterprise-wide approach to be able to utilize enterprises across the entire infrastructure to be able to use higher performance disk or lower performance disk to move things. On a separate point, there's the noisy neighbors concept of making sure I don't have a particular job that is consuming resources at the degradation of others. I need to be able to monitor that and adjust as well in order to be able to reach the overall balanced performance that the entire enterprise needs. And I think some advances, in cloud is, a lot of enterprises today are using hybrid clouds. Primarily, if they're using public clouds, it's often for it's being used for archive and backup, and the ability to make the cloud across all solutions a seamless another tier of storage to be able to move data to and from will provide great dividends going forward. So with that, I'm actually going to turn things back over to Raleigh to see if we have some questions we can answer. And
thanks, Jim. We actually ran over a little bit, and I want to be respectful of our audience's time, so we are going to forego the Q&A today. I did want to thank everyone for taking time out of their schedules to join us. I will be sending out an email tomorrow that will include the on-demand playback, a link to the report. You can also access that today by going to enterprisemanagement.com/research. But look out for that email as well. Thanks again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all, and thanks, Raleigh.